All right. Hey guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Wow, we are in day 8. That is just amazing to me. I can't believe we've made it here already. Um, but yes, we are on day 8, and today we're talking about how to know when it's time to raise your rates. All right, this series is for event planners. You can probably tell from the topic, it's from event planners, and I'm really excited about that. But first, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Yes, I changed my hair. Okay, I look different from the way I looked last week. I hope you guys like it. It's a little more compact, but I decided to go with cornrows this week. 2 big cornrows stitched up. I like it. It's a little more compact. I look different, but I promise I'm the same person. So I felt the need to say that just for those of you guys who are like, who this? You know, new hair, same person, same tips, all that good stuff. All right. Now, for those of you guys who are new to this channel is for everyone. It's for people who are engaged, planning a wedding. It's for people who are hosting an event of some sort, a conference, something like that. And you're considering an event planner, so welcome. And you're welcome. There's so much inspiration on this page for anyone who's hosting an event. But over time, I've noticed that our long-term viewers, the people who watch our videos for the long term, and some people who've been watching us for years and years and years, are event planners, which makes sense, right? A lot of times once you get married or you hire that planner or whatever, you're spending less time on this channel. So we're doing the series dedicated to event planners. Okay, I just want to say that make sure you still subscribe. Even if you're not a planner, you're welcome to watch, but still subscribe and all that, and check out our other videos. We have so many other videos for anyone who's not a planner, but this series is for planners. We're going to be speaking directly to planners, so I wanted to get that out the way, just so that you know you're in the right place. All right. So, also today I want to introduce myself. I always reintroduce myself because I know we have new viewers on every single video. My name is Fa Shala. I am the owner of Statuesque Events. This is our office here in Maryland. We're in the DC metro area, but we service events everywhere in the country. We've done as far north as Connecticut. We've done the Midwest and Minneapolis. We've done California, Texas, Florida. We literally are all over, and we also are producing some events in Europe and the Caribbean. So we literally go anywhere to produce modern luxury events. I've been in business for 13 years. I'm very proud of that. It's been an amazing ride doing what I love. Believe it or not, my background is in engineering. So I went from engineering to what I love. And it's been a ride, right? It's definitely a choice, and it's something I've chosen to do and something that I love. Now, in addition to that, I'm also an educator. I've been speaking at conferences for years. And then after a few years of people saying, I love what you're teaching, how do I work with you? I created a coaching program, and it's called Planners Who Profit. It has been phenomenal. We've seen people get some amazing results, 6-figure businesses, 10-figure sales, 5-figure sales months. We've seen people double, triple, 10x their revenue, right? Depending on where they're starting from. We've seen people really learn what it looks like to command high 4-figure and even 5-figure event planning packages. Transformational people, growing teams, and really just overall just getting the confidence to work better, to attract higher caliber clients, and then also to be more streamlined in the way they're approaching their work, right? So that they can actually increase their capacity and work on more events. That's what we do. All of those things put together is what increases your profit. You can increase your profit if instead of being stressed out with 1 or 2 or 3 clients, you can handle 10 or 12, right? And then in addition to that, they're all paying you more. That combination increases your profit pretty quickly and pretty well, right? And this is what we help our clients to do. And they're usually able to do this within a matter of months. Our accelerator program is just 6 months long. We also have an intensive called Planners Who Profit Live. It's taking place in April. It's every April. That's our business anniversary, and you're invited to join us. The next one is taking place in Miami, April 2024. All the information about connecting with us, whether you're planning an event or if you are an event planner and you're looking for more resources, we have free resources and even paid resources. Every single thing is linked in the description. So make sure you visit the description, learn more about how to work with us and all that good stuff. All right. So now that I've gotten through the intro, I see some people have joined. Welcome. Do me a favor, leave in the comments. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I always like to know who's watching. Even those of you who are watching the replay, let me know where you're tuning in from, and let me know what you'd like to learn. Let me know, why you tuned in, maybe like, what do you want to learn about pricing? What do you want to learn about raising your rates? And if you have any outstanding questions, either before you hear what I have to say or after, drop it in the comments because we reply to every single one. All right. Now that the intro is over, I'm ready to dive in. Okay. Now, today's topic is, Dear Event Planner, here's when to raise your rates. Here's when to raise your rates. This is a big one for me because I think that this is something that I struggled with, transparently. A big part of the reason that I love to coach, that I love to empower people, is that I like to teach people how to avoid the bumps that I experience, how to grow faster. Like I have clients who've gone full time in like 3 years of business. It took me much longer than that to do that, right? And I love to help people um, to maybe get move forward faster while also avoiding some of the pitfalls that I had. And for me, I waited too long to raise my rates. I waited too long to raise my rates. My reasons for many may not sound negative, but my reasons largely was just that I didn't rely on my business to pay for my lifestyle. Like I said, my background's engineering. I graduated college in the middle of a pandemic, not a pandemic, sorry, in the middle of a recession. In 2009, I graduated. Most of my peers did not get full-time positions. Many people ended up getting like delayed start, like getting their offers delayed as far as when they were going to start, or offers even got taken back. Some people just didn't get offers at all. Thankfully, I, did an internship in a place where they hired me, but they didn't hire anyone else. They only hired their star interns, and they didn't even plan to hire any additional people on top of that. Like that's how tight times were. And so when I graduated college, I felt like I should just be grateful for what I have, right? I should be grateful that I have a high paying career that can pay for, my apartment in New York City. I had roommates, but whenever I had roommates, I always took the master. I paid the most rent because I had the most money, right? And so I was just like, I should just be grateful with what I have. And so in my approach to my business, I always treated my business as something that was just a passion. It was just for fun. And, I'm just going to make money and reinvest it and make money and reinvest it. And you should reinvest in things that are going to grow you, right? Not just throwing money away, but investing in coaching that is proven to move you forward, investing in tools that are proven and that you have processes to help you streamline your work. You should invest, but I just didn't really take my own business that seriously because frankly, I was getting paid twice a month, right? And what I was getting paid twice a month was fulfilling for me. I was able to travel, I was able to enjoy my life. And that literally is what kept me stuck. And it's the weirdest thing to say. What kept me stuck wasn't necessarily fear, it was complacency. It was complacency with my day job, right? Even though I knew that I didn't want to do that forever, I will never forget the first day that I walked into my day job um, as a consulting firm, IT consulting firm, one of the biggest IT consulting firms that I worked for. And the first day we walked in, we had a chat, like our start group. We got to meet with one of the partners because partner is the highest position that you could have, really, right? Outside of maybe CEO, but that's like super tough, right? And the partner was explaining his lifestyle, explaining how much he made. I think someone actually was bold enough to ask, so I think he told us he made around 300K a year. And he was explaining so many things about his lifestyle. And as he was talking, I was just looking at him and I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want that. Not that it was bad. I mean, that's amazing. Making partner in any firm is a big deal. But I was like, that's great for you. But this is not what I see for myself. This is not what I see for myself in the long term. And it's weird that I knew that day one, but somehow I allowed myself to stay complacent for years. Right. And I think that a lot of planners that I meet are in this place. You wanna have a booming business. You wanna have this business that is making enough that you can hand it down to your children, and they're excited to run into it. And maybe they can choose to take over the family business or focus on getting a job. Like they have choices, right? You want this, and you know that climbing the corporate ladder may not be your passion, but you're still allowing what you're getting from that to keep you complacent. For some people, you may be complacent because you don't really spend anything on to live. Maybe you live with some family members. Maybe even, for some people, it's like, oh, look, I'm married and I'm good. My husband's covering everything. So this is just my little side project. Like we keep treating it as a side project. I want you to know that you can run a business part-time and it still pay you full-time money. Like, it took me a while to really have that realization, and then I went after and I realized I could run this business part-time and still be making full-time money. There was a period I was paying myself the same amount that my job was paying me from my business, and I was running it part-time, still in 7-Eleven ministries and church all the time, volunteering. I was traveling. For those of you who don't know, the majority of my family members at the time do not live anywhere near me. So whenever there's a family function, or someone had a baby or someone's getting married or whatever, that always pretty much involved me traveling, in addition to my personal travel, just wanting to experience new areas. My best friends didn't live in Maryland, right? Like, I travel a lot. I did not miss moments. I still ran this business part-time, still was paying myself the same amount that my day job that I was working 40 hours was paying me. That was what I worked myself up to before I left. This is something that is possible for you. And I did not realize that it was, for many years, I didn't even consider it as possible. And that's why I was so complacent, right? I just was like, well, one day something's going to happen. And then I guess money will just fall in my lap and I'll just automatically make more money, even though I'm not charging more. And, I just kind of was waiting for life to happen to me until one day I woke up and realized, no, that's not how this works, right? So there was a period where, you know, I started to have this realization, and it changed everything for me. Also, around the time that this was happening, I realized a lot of things happened at once, actually. I decided to leave the IT consulting firm. This was many years later. It was like 6 years later. I decided to leave the IT consulting firm. I focused on my business for a bit, just because I didn't find another position that I really liked. And during that period, I really decided, like, I want to have an office. Believe it or not, I envisioned this office, this bright office. This is not a Zoom background. This is my actual office. I envisioned this before I even knew how I was going to be able to buy a house, right? Because, like I said, it was during the period where I was in between jobs. I knew I wanted this. I knew I wanted to eventually go full time, and I knew that if I got another job, that when I left that job, I was never going back to corporate. It wasn't going to be an in and out. I was like, you know what? The whole process of getting a mortgage is, it is what it is in America. They like to see a W-2. Cool. Let me do that. And that's exactly what I did. I got another job. Literally, when I got my very first pay stub, hired a realtor, and about 6 months later, closed on a house, right? And then my next goal became, I want to put more, and I've said this earlier in the same challenge, but my next goal became, okay, I don't want to wait the full 15 years or the full 30 years to pay off this house. Let me get more equity quicker. Let me get rid of this PMI thing that they're talking about real quick, which comes when you have more equity in the house. And let me just get more equity. And so what I was paying myself from my business was going on top of what I was already paying for my mortgage. Like, this aggression that came for me pursuing my business came from me having more aggressive goals. So instead of me just being content with just getting my bills paid, just making it through the day, I began to come up with more future focused goals that were more aggressive. And that was what inspired me to come up with a lot of the things that I teach, and a lot of the things that first of all helped me, right? I'm not teaching something I didn't do, and I'm not teaching anything that I didn't frankly create. These are all concepts of things that I created, but I started with that, but it was all inspired by something. So I want to talk about pricing, but I said this earlier. I think I said this in the lesson where I said decide to be successful. You need to know what this money is going to do for you. Why do you want your business to be successful? And a lot of us struggle with this. A lot of us, we're like, well, I just want to impact people. I just want to help people. To be the definition of a philanthropist is somebody who makes a lot of money and then gives a lot of it away. You got to make money first, right? A lot of us want to impact people, but you can't help other people if you haven't helped yourself first. If you're living check to check, you're struggling, you don't really have much left to help other people, right? Similarly, if every hour of your day is accounted for, like, you are slammed, like you have 2 clients and it's stressing you out, and from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., you're just responding to messages and doing all that. You don't even have time to help anybody else, right? So first, you got to get yourself to a place where you're running a profitable, streamlined business, and then you begin to help other people either with your time or with your money, right? So there's that one. Number 2, the purpose of a business. The reason we have businesses and not 501c3s, not nonprofits, is because we need to make money. The number one purpose of a business is to make money. And that's not a selfish thing. We all need to make money, just like the number one purpose of getting a job is to make money. And of course, secondarily, it's ideal if you find a job in something that you're actually passionate about and good at, right? And so that's the secondary. And by the way, I never hated my job. My job was never bad. It's just that this is my passion, right? And so I went from good to better. Sometimes it's not about hating it. It's just about going from good to better. So here's the thing. You need to define for yourself, what is this money going to do for me? It can be some examples. I still have 20K in student loan debt, and I want to throw this money at that. I want to pay that off within a year. Technically, I have 10 more years to pay it off. Let me get it done in a year or in 2 years. So I want it. This is how much money I want to make, and just put it towards that. Or maybe I'm debt free. I don't have any debt. So maybe I want to put money in a fund that I can use. There was a period where I had a good amount of money in stocks though. But my whole thing was like, I'm not going to touch these stocks, this money in these stocks, unless it's time to either buy a house or get married or plan a wedding. So if it's buying a house, this is going to be my down payment. And if I'm getting married, then this is what I'm going to use to, maybe pay for half of the wedding. But that's it. That's the only two purposes for spending this money. Discipline in money is a whole nother topic, but it starts with having a purpose for your money, having the purpose of what you're going after. So you need to decide. And if you're willing to share in the chat, hey, I'd love to see it. What do you want to do? You can come up with something now. Paying off debt, having a savings fund for something, having money to, maybe investing 20% of it in stocks. I don't know if I recommend putting everything you make in stocks, maybe a percentage, 10%, 5%, something like that, and beginning to invest. Maybe I want to save towards buying a house. Maybe I want to put more money towards mortgage. Maybe I'm going back to school and I'm going to use this to pay for like something, but you should come up with a purpose. It's going to help you be motivated. It's going to help you track, and it's going to help you to be a little bit more disciplined. All right. So these are some things that inspired me and helped me when it came to that. But I want you to know, like I said earlier, your business should be profitable, whether it's part-time or not. As a matter of fact, our whole goal in our accelerator, like I said, is for you to build a profitable 6-figure business part-time. Part-time means about 20 hours a week, sometimes even less, 4 hours a day during the week, and rest on the weekends, unless you have an event. That's it. That's the goal, right? And we've had people do it, and I'm talking people who have children, young children have done it, using our methods. People who are, married, many of them married as well as having young children, have all kinds of demands on their life, and then they're still able to do this. So that is the goal, and that comes from that. Now, let's talk about when it's time to raise your rates. And we just talked about the confidence, the inspiration behind it, but how do you know it's time? The number one way you know it's time to raise your rates is when the demand for your service is increasing. The demand for your service is increasing. First of all, economics, right? I took economics. I think I got a B. I didn't get an A. But one thing that I do remember is the golden rule of economics is that supply and demand drives the price. It's that simple. Supply and demand drives the price. A lot of people last summer complained about the price of Beyonce tickets, right? Her Renaissance World Tour, the price of it. I didn't go. I like Beyonce. I've seen her in concert before. I just didn't go this time around. And that's all good, right? But a lot of people were like, well, I can't believe that she's going to charge as much and whatever. But pretty much every tour stop was still sold out, right? So there's only one Beyonce, and I guess she only wanted to go to every city once. I have seen her in the past have to repeat certain cities because they sold out too fast, right? And this time around, she was probably like, I'm not doing that. I'm a little older now. We're going to go to every city one time. So we're going to raise the rates because supply and demand raise. The bigger the demand, then the higher the price. One thing I always say is that everyone wants a Rolls Royce, but not everybody can afford it. And even if you don't want a Rolls Royce, you probably want a Bentley or an Aston Martin or something up there, right? But not everybody can afford it. And the fact that there's so much demand for it is what drives the price, so that it becomes more desirable for the people who actually can afford it, and it becomes worth it. That's it, right? And so when demand for what you're doing goes up, your price should also go up. If before, oh Lord, what is going on here? Hold on. Okay, I didn't know that YouTube Live had these effects. I don't know what just happened. I'm afraid to put my thumbs up again. But anyways, if your demand for what you're doing is, if you're used to maybe getting a couple inquiries a month and maybe producing 2 to 3 events a year, and so maybe your pricing is average. Let's say you've always charged like $3,000 per event, $4,000. That's about average, right? The average cost of a wedding in the US is about $30,000. So 3,000 to 4,000 is about average. You're dealing with like more average type events at that point. But then all of a sudden, let's say you start to work on your marketing. Let's say you kind of plan to profit live. You learn some new things, you start to work on your marketing, and you see yourself getting 3 to 4 inquiries a week. And a lot of these people, you get on a call with them, you send them your information, they're signing, they're moving forward. And you're like, wait, I'm used to doing 3 to 4 events a year, and maybe 2 months has gone by and I've booked 3 to 4 events, right? There's two ways you can go. You can just be like, oh, I'm just going to book as many events as I can. And you can find yourself in a year producing 20 events, which sounds great sometimes until you do it. I'm not telling you can't, but sometimes once you actually do it, you realize that maybe that's too much just for me, you know? Or you can take a step back and be like, listen, the demand for my work has gone up. And frankly, I'm also good at what I do. I'm also providing good value. So maybe I can raise my rates. And instead of booking 20 events at $3,000, maybe I'll book 12 events at $7,000, right? Like you're pretty much making the same amount, if not more money, but you're working less, right? So going back to the Beyonce example, the reason I say I know that Beyonce has had to repeat some cities is because DC was one of them. That was the time I saw Beyonce when she released her tour tickets a long time ago. I think it was, I don't remember which one it was, but she released tickets and it sold out in American Express pre-sale. Like it didn't even get to regular sale before it sold out. So, and at the time I did not have an American Express card. I also did not wait up until midnight to buy my ticket. So I was out of luck. And so she had to repeat a whole bunch of cities. So that was extra energy that she had to put out, right? And the thing about it is that I talked a lot about supply and demand. And some of you might be like, well, what I sell is services, so there's really no supply. Yes, there is. We all have a limited amount of energy. And as creatives, when we burn out, our creativity kind of goes as well, right? Our creativity starts to dwindle. It becomes harder to be creative when you're burned out, right? And frankly, yes, you do have demand. I mean, you do have a limit because there's only but so many days in a year, right? And so realistically, even if you have the energy to do an event every single weekend, that's 52 weeks. For those of you who live in a cold place like I do, it's freezing here. We all know that in the winter months, there are not as many events. So that clears out at least a third of the year. And then during the summertime, you might want to take your kids to the beach. Or if you're not married like me, you might want to take yourself to the beach, right? And enjoy some beach time with your friends before you get to the period of having kids and all that stuff. Like all these things continue to dwindle your availability when you start to factor them all in. So the demand for what you're doing goes up. When you start to get a whole lot of inquiries and you see a lot of them booking, that's a sign that it's time to increase your rates. That's a sign that it's time to increase your rates. And that also should frankly motivate you to get better at your marketing and sales, because the better you get at marketing and sales and the more people that you start to book, then the more you have the more you can raise your rates without really worrying, because you're going to have more people book, and this is something that we coach a lot of people through. We have a lot of clients who have gone through this cycle where it's like, oh my gosh, this time last year, I had way more events booked. And I asked them, this time last year, when you compare how much money is coming in, like as far as like the events that you have coming up for the next year, when you compare what the value of them combined is compared with the value of where you were last year, where are you? And it's like, whoa, I'm like, this is like 70% more money, even though I don't have as many events as I did before. And I'm like, okay, so was the goal to do the same number of events you did last year? Was the goal to do more events than you did last year, or was the goal to make more money doing the same amount of events? It's like, oh, the goal is to make more money doing the same amount of events. And it's like, okay, you do realize you have more time to book more. It's like, you got to coach people through this understanding that it's not this mad race to say, oh, I got 20 events, I'm booked out, right? It's not a race to be booked and busy. It's a race to be paid and profitable, right? That's what you want to get. And frankly, a lot of times the more affordable vendors do get booked first anyway. People with money don't feel the need to rush, right? People with a lot of money don't necessarily feel the need to plan a wedding for 2-3 years, right? Corporations almost never do that. Corporations a lot of times tend to be short term, within a matter of months, because they got the money. and clients who have money and they have it readily available, they're not spending the next year or two saving for the event, they also move because they know, like, oh, I've got it. Like, let me just find somebody who knows how to do it and who's available, and then we'll move, right? All of the more expensive events, whenever I think every year to year, when I think of the biggest or most expensive events we've done, they were all booked in the short term. It was always under a year out, right? And I also can think of many times in my past where I have maybe given somebody a discount or sold something at a lower price point, and someone else came along at a better with a better overall budget or a better overall venue or whatever for the same date, and I couldn't sell it because I was already booked for this budget event. So it's important to know that, a lot of times it's not a race to book early, it's a race to book the best clients. So there's a little bit of patience there that goes out. All right. So I'm just saying all that to say you don't get a red star badge for being like, oh, I'm booked out, I'm booked solid for the next year and a half. You don't, that's to me, that's usually a flag that you're one of the cheaper vendors, usually, which is not bad when you're in the beginning stages of your career, when you're in the first 3 years. For some people, even the first 4 years, that's not bad. But at a certain point, when you're ready to level up, which is what this channel is about, Planners Who Profit is for people who are ready to get to the next level. At a certain point, you have to start thinking of things different and looking different. Okay, so the first sign that it's time to raise your rates is when the demand for your service has gone up. Right? More people are interested in working with you. More people are inquiring. More people are booking. The demand has gone up. And that's evidence of your marketing and sales work, which of course we talk about in a lot of detail at Planners Who Profit Live and in our accelerator. If you want to learn more, make sure you visit the description to learn more. All right. I see a lot of you guys on the live. If you have any questions, drop it. I see a comment that says, that's good. I'm glad this is helpful. And if any questions, comments, drop it, or aha moments, drop them in the chat, both live or replay. The second sign it's time to raise your rates is that you are not paying yourself anything. And you've been in business for at least 2 or 3 years. You're not paying yourself a cent. Now, according to the I believe it's the SBA, Small Business Association, on average, it takes a business 3 years to break even. However, as an event planner, you can do this faster because you likely don't really have any startup costs. You don't have a storefront. You don't have to buy equipment. Yes, you have to pay for some tools and you have to pay and probably some education, but that's not the same as like spending $4,000 a month on a storefront and and employees and all that stuff, right? So you may be able to hit it faster if you have hit 3 years and you're not paying yourself anything. And you actively are serving clients, right? I'm not talking about you registered your business 3 years ago and you haven't done any events. That's a whole different problem. That's a marketing and sales problem, right? But if you registered your business 3 years ago, you're consistently serving clients and you're not paying yourself anything, right? Some years you're even in the red. You need to you need to raise your rates. It's math, right? Like you're charging less than what it costs to run your business. And a lot of people don't understand this because it's like, well, I don't really have that many costs, but it's like, yeah, certain things add up, the web hosting and the tools. And then if you're not really paying attention, you probably have 6 tools that all do the same thing. And then they're charging you monthly. And then there's this rate. And then you have assistants and maybe you budgeted for 1 assistant, but you find yourself constantly needing 3 or 4 assistants. And then you're like, all this stuff sucks out your money. Right. So if you are not, if that's the case, there may be some opportunity, first of all, to streamline, but also you need to raise your rates. Right. Because you're supposed to have margin. You're not supposed to be running this business just to pay other people and not yourself. Right. You should be paying yourself something. So this second one is super short and simple. You've been in business for over 3 years, actively serving clients, and you're not paying yourself anything, then it's time to raise your rates. It's that simple. And I mean, you could start by paying yourself $200-300 a month. You should be able to do that. But if you're not paying yourself, and then when you file your taxes, you see yourself not making money still, like, because some of you might be like, well, I mean, I just don't really understand taxes and all that. I just, wait till tax season. Okay, look at what your tax return tells you made this year. If at the end of the year you made $500, that's basically breaking even. You didn't really make enough to actually pay yourself anything, right? That's a sign to raise your rates. I know at the time this is publishing, we're going into tax season. Some of you are starting to get a better understanding of your finances from this. So that's a sign that you need to be making more, significantly more, right? in order to break even, probably at least $10,000 more than what you were, or $12,000 more, so you could start to pay yourself at least 1,000 or 700 or so per month, right? So if you do 5 events a year and you need to make $10,000 more, that means that each of those events needs to be $2,000 more. If you do 10, just some quick math, but that's what you need to do. All right, and you need to attract people who are willing to pay you that. The third sign that it's time to raise your rates is that you are priced way less than the average cost in your area, and you have over 3 years of experience. And this is a big one. I want to say that a lot of times you think, oh yeah, just with more time it'll get better, but owning a business is not like having a job. Nobody's going to give you a promotion. You got to promote yourself. Okay, you're not just going to magically fall on a client who's going to pay you more than what you've asked for. And even if they do, you're not going to find them consistently. Even if you have one client who's like, well, we just feel like you're worth more than this, so we're going to give you a tip, or we're going to pay you. I spoke to someone who was like, oh yeah, I had one client who was like, we feel like because of the quality of your work, we should pay you, a percentage. And she was like, yeah, that was great. And it's like, that's cool. But that's like less than 1% of people who are going to do that. Most people are going to take you at your price, right? So if you want to make more, you got to actually be able to ask for it, right? So if you are priced, let's say, like I gave the example of being priced at $3,000-$4,000, right? That's, again, average cost of a wedding in the US. Obviously, it's higher in certain places. DC, New York, big cities, the average cost of a wedding is higher than $30,000, but I'm just going to speak in general. And let's say you're charging $3,000 to $4,500 and you've been in business for 10 years. I mean, that's something you could do, right? But at the same time, if you actually have experience and you've learned from your experience over the years, you probably shouldn't be charging average. 10 years of experience is a lot. Most people don't make it past year 3. And even fewer make it past year 5. And so if you've spent this long actively producing events, you have a lot of experience. And so if you're learning as you go along the way, there's no reason for you to still be doing budget events. Or, at that point you got to step up into higher end markets, right? And again, for some people, you're stuck here because you keep doing events at the same level and your marketing keeps showing events that don't look high end, right? So there's marketing and sales work that you have to do there. But again, this is a sign that something needs to change in your business, which is why we exist. For me, I want to see people win. Like I said, I've had clients go full time at year 3, year 4, and I'm like, yay, that's exciting. And also, I wish I could have done that. I wish I had someone to guide me at the time, and I did not, right? And so now I love to share it and teach it. But this is what we exist for. Our event Planners Who Profit Live and our accelerator program exists for this reason. All right. So again, if you've heard this and you're like, yeah, this sounds good, but I just feel like I got to do more work to work my way up there. Like, this sounds good, but almost no one's inquiring about my work. Only my family and friends are inquiring about my work, right? Then the first thing you got to do is increase the demand for your work. And you also have to get good at sales. Now, when it comes to increasing demand for your work, increasing demand means increasing demand with strangers. It's not, oh, people in church and my friends and my family, getting them to hire me and marketing to them and expecting them to market my business. You have to let strangers find you and fall in love with you. As a matter of fact, like I keep mentioning Planners Who Profit Live because it's on my mind, right? It's right around the corner. It's coming up in April, but we've been having pre-event masterclasses. Frankly, Planners Who Profit Live has kind of already started, right? So we have monthly masterclasses. This month, we're teaching the anatomy of a 5-figure event planning package. But in February, I'm teaching how to get strangers to fall in love with you and book you, because that is like the number one thing you need to know in marketing, is how to get a stranger that you've never met, who doesn't have like someone who referred you to them or whatever, how to get a stranger to see your marketing materials, go through your sales process and be like, yo, we love her, and work with you. That is like the number one thing you need to be able to do, right? To have a thriving business, because you will never, and I'm just going to put it out, say with my full chest, you will never have a year in business where you have enough people who are personal family and friends who are getting married or producing corporate events that alone is going to be enough to carry your business into a 6-figure year or into a profitable year. You just won't. You may have one or two, but it's not going to, like, they alone are not going to be able to carry you. And even if you do hit that one magical year, it's probably not going to happen again. Building a thriving business comes from working with strangers, the person who does your hair, the person who maybe mows your lawn, the people, the handyman that you have, all these people that you have are probably people that you went online, you look through their work and you're like, this person seems good. You worked with them and then you like them and now you continue to work with them, right? This is how business is done. And so, increasing demand for your work starts from how do I get a stranger to understand the value that I bring? Not just I know my value in my heart. Okay, how do we go from your heart to, first of all, not talking about your value personally as a person, but the value of your service and helping strangers who find you, first of all, to be able to find you in the first place, and then fall in love with you and book you. That is what it looks like to increase demand for your service. So I want to say for everybody who's watching, please make sure you register for Planners Who Profit Live. We're going to be diving into this in February, frankly. Even before we even get live at the event, we're going to be teaching this, and I'm excited to see as many testimonials as possible about how this has helped move your business forward and help you get business when we actually get to Miami in April, right? And complete the trainings. But that's the number one thing about increasing demand. The second thing is that you got to get good at sales. You got to take people from interested to booked. Get people from, okay, I'm interested, I want to learn more about you, to booking them. Like, just because someone expresses interest, somebody DMs you and says, hey, I'm getting married, I want to learn more about your wedding planning service, or fills out your contact form, doesn't mean that they're sold, right? Most big corporations have a separate marketing department and a separate sales department. Those are different jobs, different skill sets, right? But as a small business owner, you have to be good at both. And sales is important because when you start getting into the higher end market, honestly, even the average market, everybody has options. Everybody has options. And so the higher you go, the more options technically people have. I mean, they may not want all the options that they find. That's a different story, but everybody wants that person with a 6-figure budget. Everybody wants that person with a 500K budget, right? So they have options and they're probably considering a few people, right? Unless, we've had clients who have been to multiple of our events before. And so they're like, I'm not considering anyone else. But again, that's rare, where it's like, oh, you want to get to the point where you're not threatened by the fact that they're comparing you to other people. You want they need to be able to compare you to other people and still decide you. That's what most of our clients were comparing us with other people and then still chose to go with us, right? And so these are some things that I'm just sharing, right? For those of you who are like, man, all this sounds good, but I just need to work my way up. I need to get more sales so that I feel confident for this. These are the things that you need to focus on. We're going to be talking about pretty much all these things in our pre-event sessions leading up to Planners Who Profit Live. And then we're going to be deep diving in the intensive itself in Miami at Planners Who Profit Live. All right. So this session was really good. It was a little longer than I thought it was going to be, but I wanted to make sure I gave the background about my story, the inspiration behind your pricing. I hope that this is helping anyone, right, who's struggling with pricing or struggling with knowing when it's time to raise your rates, or if you're turning people away, right? We have one of my clients, I did an interview with her, and she talked about building, I believe her interview was about building a 6-figure destination event wedding planning company. And one of the things that she mentioned is that she actually ended up getting more leads and more people booking when she raised her rates, because at the same time she was attracting better quality people anyway, right? So a lot of you may feel like, if I increase my rates, no one's going to buy. But it's like, do you want to stay stuck where you are or try something new, right? And so these are all things you want to improve your skills and improve your pricing. As you go through experience and you see some things, right? You see some things, you have some challenges and all that stuff, you're supposed to learn the lesson. And then as you learn the lesson, that experience can help the next client, which is why it becomes more and more valuable. You go through coaching, you get better at streamlining and creating, better experiences for your clients. And then that makes your pricing valuable. So as you grow, you change your rates. I see, when is your course starting? Okay, it's not a course. Our event is Planners Who Profit Live. It is a 2.5-day live intensive. This is our 5th time doing it. This time it is in Miami. It's going to be in Miami, Florida, April the 17th to the 19th. People do fly into our events, which is why we rotate different locations, because the majority of people do travel in, because it's an amazing experience, and it's a great way to escape the busyness of life to really focus in on your business for a few days, right? So that's Planners Who Profit Live. However, it's in April, but we have pre-event masterclasses. So the January masterclass is in about a week, a little over a week. So on January the 31st, that's when we're going to be teaching the anatomy of a 5-figure event planning package. And for people who register for Planners Who Profit Live before January 31st, will get access to that masterclass where I'll be teaching how to build a 5-figure event planning package, right? And then people who register by the February masterclass, which is February the 28th, I believe, people who register by then will join the masterclass that I mentioned earlier, where I'll be teaching how to get strangers to fall in love with you and book you. That will be the February one. And the March masterclass is turning your assistants to dream team, how to go from assistants to dream team. This is really about scaling, right? Being able to have associate planners, like people within your team who can carry more of the load. And that is going to be taking place, I believe, on March the 29th. Everything is on the website, plannerswhoprofit.com/live. Everything is linked in the description as well. So you can join that. That's how you, to register for Planners Who Profit Live. Also, our accelerator program is rolling. You can join at any point, but I always say sooner is always better, and it is an application, so you do have to apply. So I would recommend applying for the Planners Who Profit Accelerator now. If you're not sure which way to go, whatever, just apply to the accelerator program. We'll send you more information and we'll have a discussion about it, and then we'll let you know. We'll give you your options, what we think is the best option for you, and we'll go from there. All right. Right now, I think registering for Planners Who Profit Live is the best option really for everybody because the experience is truly phenomenal. But if you're like, I'm ready to dive in the deep end, I want to talk about that too. All right. So I hope that helps. I'm going to drop it in the live chat as well. All right. All right. All right, so I dropped the link to register for Planners Who Profit Live Miami. And for anybody who's like, oh, I'm not available in April, which granted, it's during the week, so it shouldn't conflict with any weddings or anything. But if for any reason you're not available, you can register, you can apply to the accelerator program as well. All right, so all that information is in the chat. For you guys, I believe those who are watching the replay should be able to see that as well. It's also in the description of this, and it's in the description of all of the live sessions that we're doing in this series. So make sure you check that out, and we'll go from there. I know you guys who are live can't see those links, so I guess for moving forward, I'll drop them in the live chat, but they're in the description for, after it goes on replay status, and we can go from there. All right, thanks guys for watching. This has been such a fun series. I can't believe we're already in week 2, and we're rounding it out. We've got some really great topics this week, and we'll be back again tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern. And if you're not available, don't worry, the replay will be up shortly after as well. All right, so enjoy. Thanks for tuning in today. Make sure you like, subscribe, drop a comment before you leave. Let the algorithm know that you're enjoying this content, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Cheers.